Hey gang, Richard here. This morning I'm going to talk about what is your 4-minute mile. So Kimmy and I are here still in Perth. We're headed to Melbourne today. We are staying at the most amazing, it's called the Como the Treasury Hotel. This is some amazing church that's right next door. So what I wanted to talk about today was what your 4-minute mile is. And what I mean by that is day before yesterday, March 3rd, Roger Bannister passed away at the age of 88. And Roger Bannister is an icon in the area of personal development, transformational development, the biology of belief, because he is the first man in the human race to break the sub 4-minute mile. On May 6, 1954, May 6, 1954, Roger Bannister went to work, did his shift at St. Mary's Hospital in Paddington. After his shift, he went down to the lab in the hospital, sharpened his spikes on a grinder in the lab, and then he caught the train and went to a race that he actually was considering not running because the wind was blowing pretty hard. And but at 6 p.m., Roger Bannister set out and ran a mile race. Now, up to the point that Roger Bannister ran this race at 6 p.m., nobody had ever run the mile in less than 4 minutes. And the world record for running the mile had stood for 9 years. It was a popular belief amongst everybody in track, including everybody in science and medicine, that it might actually be physically impossible. That was like a rumor. That was like the talk in the track community, that it might actually be impossible for the human body to run a 4-minute mile. Like, it just didn't have the physical ability to do it. The body didn't have the ability to do it. Nobody'd ever done it. The world record had stood for 9 years. Roger Bannister set out and he ran the mile in 3 minutes, 59 seconds and 4/10, breaking that barrier. Now, here's the fascinating thing about Roger Bannister breaking the barrier and the lesson of today. It's not that Roger Bannister broke the mile. I mean, people break records all the time. It's not that he ran the sub 4-minute mile. It's what happened after Roger Bannister ran the sub 4-minute mile that matters and is worth paying attention to. Because what Roger Bannister did is he shattered that cultural belief, that paradigm, that it wasn't possible to break that record. And he just went out and did it. And I don't know if that was his goal or he was just running. You know, his passion was running. He was obviously a track star. He was a professional or an amateur athlete, pursuing goals in running the mile. But as soon as he shattered the 4-minute mile, here's something that happened. But what I want you to pay attention to is what happened in the track society, what happened in culture, what happened in that biology of belief once Roger Bannister actually broke through. Like, here's an interesting statistic. There's already been 18 people in the United States, Americans, maybe they ran somewhere in the world, but there's already been 18 Americans in 2018. In the first 3 months, 18 Americans that have broke the 4-minute mile. There are 10 American high school kids who have broke the 4-minute mile. Generally, every year, about 20 to 30 people, Americans, break the 4-minute mile. You know, college students, every once in a while a high school student, professional athletes. So what stood for the test of time forever as something that was humanly impossible is now a common event amongst track and field. And when you look at these links that I post in the comments, look at how many people every year do what nobody did for centuries, all the way back to the Greeks, or all the way back until people were actually keeping track of how long it took to run a mile. And now people are doing it all the time. So the question is, what's going on in your business or your life or the goals that you set that people hold as impossible? Kimmy and I met a lady a couple of weeks ago that advanced to the top rank in her company. This is $1 billion a year company with 4 million people participating. And she advanced to the top rank in her company in 21 months. And she didn't use any systems, she did social media like, a lot of people did. But, normally, of course, what are the percentage of people that ever advance to the top rank in the company? It's like 1 out of, 10,000 or 1 out of 100,000 or something like that. So it's super rare that anybody ever gets to that top position. But she set the record 21 months. So now that just seems like bizarre. How could somebody get there in 21 months? I don't know exactly how she did it. It would be worth studying, but here's what I can promise you. That record won't stand. It won't stand because once people in the community start to recognize that it could be done in 21 months, then they just change their whole belief. Because probably up until the time that she broke the record in 21 months, people were thinking, well, it takes 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 15 years like that. And this is a 25-year-old company. So the people that I know that are in that top rank, the ones that have been there for, 10 or 15 years, it took them 10 or 15 years to get to that rank. And then some people started doing it in 7 or 8 years, which seemed like, oh my gosh, that's absolutely incredible. And then people started doing it in 4 years, which was mind-blowing. Like, how do you get to, I think you got to do like $1.5 million a month in sales volume. And, how do you get there in 4 or 5 years? And then she did it in 21 months. And, there's actually a lady I know that she does $50 million a month, and she did it in 5 years. But her total sales are $50 million a month in 5 years. So whatever goals you have, what would serve you in terms of looking at them in context is look at the goal that you have and then look at the conversation that you have around how possible it is, how probable it is, how inevitable it is. And pay attention to your belief. Because if the way you hold your goal is, maybe I can do it in 2 years or maybe I can do it in 4 years, and it's not that big of a goal, really, in comparison to what other people have done, it would serve you to look at what other people have done and look at the time frames that they've done it in. That doesn't mean that you should, break any records or run at a breakneck pace. It's not about that. It's about shifting, like thumping your bowl and shifting how you see your goals and how you see how probable they are, how possible they are, and what you're actually going for is inevitable. That's the important thing, is find goals, create goals that the way you can hold them is in the timeline that you're looking to achieve them, they're inevitable. And when you hold your goals as inevitable, you'll get in massive action pursuing them. But the lesson of Roger Bannister is whatever you think is possible, probable, and inevitable, thump that bowl, like shake it up, like look around you at what other people have done and ask yourself, are you playing small? Are you playing slow? What if you did it twice as fast? Has anybody ever done it twice as fast? What if you did it twice as big? Has anybody ever done it twice as big? If somebody else did it twice as fast and twice as big, well, then it's probably possible for you and I to do it twice as fast and twice as big. And what that just might do is accelerate the momentum of your success, or it might inspire you to choose some bigger goals. So here's my challenge for you today. The question of the day is, what are you up to? And what have other people done with those same goals that might shake up how you have the setup and maybe change the setup so you play at a much higher level? And if you like studying and research, maybe spend 15, 20 minutes today studying Roger Bannister and the impact that he had on the biology of belief in sports and in business and in personal achievement around the world. We're on our way to Melbourne today. We got about 300 on fire people waiting for us. Our flight's been delayed twice, so I think we're going to show up to the meeting room just after the meeting starts, which will be exciting. Here's another view. Just right. This is Perth. Perth is booming, by the way. Booming from oil and gas and from iron ore. This is a beautiful old church. Yesterday it was fun to come out on Sunday and look at the people who were attending service at this church. Maybe this thing will show us what church this is. Perth Cathedral. Oh, it's St. George's Cathedral. I'll bet it's old. Let's check it out a little bit. Ooh. 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 Whoa. I'm in church. I don't go to church very often. I'm honored that today's Mass is dedicated just to me, since I'm the only one in here. That looks familiar. Let's check this out. This is where the choir is, maybe? I know it's dark in here, you can't see much, but I think this is where the choir is. I'm not sure. This is like some kind of offering thing. I know some of you are experts in churches, so you have a better idea where I am. This looks like a little mini church, mini cathedral off to the side. Anyway. Oh, there's a light. Looks kind of spiritual, doesn't it? That's actually just the front door. Oh, here. Check this out. I love architecture. I love old buildings. That's the organ. Wow. I don't know if you can see that. Probably can't see it. Look at those horns. Can you see those horns sticking out? They're sticking way out. That's the organ. Those horns. Pretty amazing. That's where you wash your hands. Anyway, that's Como the Treasury, which is a hotel that they made out of the original Treasury building here in Perth. I posted about it a couple days ago. Best hotel I've ever been in my life. Best staff, best hotel design. Crazy amazing. Over and out.